You've always been told to go head on, tackle obstacles directly, and compete on equal terms. But guess what? That's not always the smartest move. You're stuck in a mindset that sees brute force as the only solution, missing the fact that, most times, real victories come from the unseen game, the strategy no one saw coming. The art of the indirect attack separates those who are just trying from those who truly succeed. The secret lies in using your mind, observation, and calculation to create moments of impact where the effort is minimal, but the return is off the charts. Now, picture a game where you don't need more strength, more resources, or more time. You just need to understand the terrain and act precisely. This is your chance to stop being a prisoner of direct confrontation and start working in the shadows. Here, victory isn't about who yells the loudest, but who knows how to wait for the perfect moment. Have you ever wondered why you keep facing things head on, even when you know you're not ready? Society teaches us that being direct, tackling problems straight away, is the right way. But here's the truth, it's not, at least not always. If you keep charging into direct confrontations without an advantage, you're choosing failure. It's like walking into a war while being poorly armed. That's not bravery, it's poor strategy. Brute strength only works in ideal conditions, and let's be real, those conditions rarely exist. What you need is to calculate, observe, and outsmart the situation you're facing. Avoiding direct confrontation isn't about running away. It's about choosing a smarter path where you call the shots. Victory doesn't go to the loudest, but to the quiet observer who waits for the right moment. The biggest mistake you can make is believing that facing everything head-on is always the best route. Sometimes, you need to step back and attack from a different angle. It's not weakness, it's strategy, the line between winners and stubborn fighters. When you face everything head-on, you exhaust yourself and burn through your resources. But when you watch, study, and find an alternative approach, you act with precision, winning without breaking yourself in the process. Avoiding direct confrontation is about conserving your energy for battles that truly matter. It's about being smart enough to realize that the game isn't won on the first move. True victory lies in knowing when to move forward and when to bide your time. The toughest battle you'll ever face isn't with the world out there, it's with the chaos inside you. Fear, doubt, excuses, those are the forces keeping you stuck, making you believe you're not good enough. But here's the trick, you don't have to face them head on. Not yet. First, you need to outsmart that resistance your mind creates, the one whispering, you can't, it's too hard, or you're not ready. Tricking yourself isn't weakness, it's strategy. You create mental shortcuts to bypass those internal roadblocks. When your mind screams, it's impossible, you take small steps, one at a time, until it realizes it's too late to stop. It's like distracting your limitations while silently pushing forward. Before that resistance knows what hit it, you've already made more progress than you thought possible. You don't have to carry the entire weight of change all at once. That just feeds the excuses and the fear of failure. Instead, you fool your mind. Focus on the next move, the next small effort. Each step you take weakens that inner voice holding you back, and little by little, it loses its grip. You take control. This is the real art of handling internal resistance. Don't fight it head on, redirect it. Move strategically, like a chess player, until victory is inevitable. It's not about winning in one go. It's about gradually undermining the forces keeping you stuck. The only real obstacle is the one you let take over your mind. The choice to move, to outsmart that resistance, is in your hands. So, the question is, what will you do to conquer the space they've always told you was out of reach? Your mind is full of traps. It's constantly finding ways to distract you, throw you off track, and you don't even notice. But what if you could flip the script? What if distractions and decoys became your allies instead of your enemies? The difference lies in who's controlling the board. When you create the right distractions, you can steer your focus away from what paralyzes you and toward what truly matters. Think about it. How many times have you felt crushed by the weight of a task or the size of a problem? You stared straight at it, and the pressure was overwhelming. That's where the decoy comes in. Instead of facing the obstacle head-on, you create a distraction to outsmart the resistance. Focus on something smaller, something simple, that gives you a boost. Each small win chips away at the bigger problem until it no longer feels impossible. But don't confuse this with running away or ignoring the issue. It's all about strategy. You rack up small victories, redirect your energy to areas where you can gain ground, and use that as a springboard for bigger moves. The decoy is about convincing your mind that you don't have to tackle everything at once. You just need to take a step. And when you do, the power that obstacle had over you starts to fade. This technique isn't about lying to yourself, but about outsmarting the natural resistance that pops up whenever you face a challenge. Shift your focus away from the central problem, and before you know it, you've built the momentum to confront it. It's like changing your angle of attack. You don't take on the wall head on. You find a crack in the sides. In the end, what matters is that you're moving forward. Even if it seems small at first, every step counts. Every strategic distraction is another move in the right direction. Now the question is, how will you use this to finally break free from what's holding you back? Life isn't gonna hand you anything on a silver platter. The most obvious paths are always crowded. They're the shortcuts everyone's trying to take, where competition's fierce and failure's more likely. Here's the deal. While everyone else is following the same route, you've got to find a different one. Alternative routes aren't just options, they're the edge that separates the tryhards from the true winners. When you stick with the flow, you let the world's rules box you in. But who says you have to play by those rules? Who says you've got to do things the way they've always been done? Real winners don't play to expectations. They look for unexpected angles, routes no one else even considers. They're unpredictable, and that unpredictability makes them unstoppable. Taking alternative routes takes guts. There's no guarantee of success. They're uncertain, sometimes risky. But that's their power. When you move differently, you catch everyone off guard, including yourself. It's in those unexplored paths that you discover what you're really made of. Think about the challenges in front of you. Are you forcing your way through where everyone else is stuck? Following the crowd, hoping extra effort will pay off? Maybe it's time to pause and look around. There's a route nobody noticed. A gap only someone bold enough to look closely will see. That's the path that'll take you further than you thought possible. It's not just about getting there, it's about how you get there. Alternative routes are for the brave, for those unafraid to fail, knowing the biggest failure is not trying something new. Are you ready to step out of the obvious and into the unknown? Because that uncharted territory is where true victory waits. You've got everything you need to win, no matter how little you think you have. And no, I'm not talking about money, time, or any specific resource. I'm talking about your ability to do more with less. Have you ever stopped to think about what you can accomplish with what you've got right now, without waiting for the perfect moment? The key isn't waiting for ideal conditions. It's learning how to squeeze every drop out of any situation. Life isn't gonna hand you everything on a silver platter. But real strength comes from understanding that resources are limited for everyone, and the ones who know how to make the most of what they have are the ones who truly win. You've got to get creative. Don't wait for luxury to make a difference. Sometimes, the best solutions come when you've got no other options, when there's no room for excuses, and you're forced to act with what's right in front of you. Are you waiting for more money, more time, more support? The answer to your victory is already in your hands. Sure, it might feel like an obstacle, but it's also your chance to do something extraordinary. It's not about how much you have, but how well you use it. How can you do more with what you've got? How can you be more efficient, more innovative, more strategic? Look, it doesn't matter how little you're working with. What matters is what you do with it. If you can use every resource intelligently, you'll find you can achieve way more than you ever thought possible. When you maximize what you've got, you don't need much. Victory doesn't come from stockpiling resources. It comes from using them to their fullest potential. Make every effort, every penny, every second count. So, what can you do right now with what you have to create a lasting impact? Don't wait for the conditions to improve. You've already got enough. Now, use it to your advantage and surprise even yourself. No matter how strong your enemy seems, they've got weak spots. And that's exactly where you need to strike. Your opponent's strength isn't in their victories or the resources they've got. The real weakness of any person, any situation, lies in the gaps, the invisible flaws they won't even admit to themselves. You know those flaws in yourself. You're aware of where you're vulnerable. So why, when you look at someone else, do you forget that they've got weak spots too? No matter how unbeatable someone appears, they've got insecurities, fears, unresolved frustrations. The trick is to spot those weak points and act quickly. It's not about attacking everywhere. That's just wasting energy, time, and resources. That's the strategy of someone who's unprepared. A true attack is surgical. You find the crack, watch where your opponent is most exposed, and focus all your energy on dismantling them from there. It's not about brute force, it's about precision. By targeting the weakest point, you create an impact far greater than a direct confrontation ever could. This strategy doesn't just apply to others, it's about you too. When you focus on your weaknesses instead of trying to patch every hole at once, you start addressing what really needs to be fixed. The focus has to be on what's essential, not what's easy to see or simple to hit. The biggest victories come when you know where it hurts the most and use that knowledge to your advantage. Learn to find the weakness in whatever's challenging you. Instead of taking it head on, go in quietly and dismantle it at its most vulnerable point. That's the path to victory. You've just uncovered one of the most powerful strategies you can use in life. It's not about clashing head-on with what's challenging you. It's about learning to manipulate your surroundings, to play the game with intelligence and patience. True strength doesn't come from forcing obstacles to yield, but from understanding their weaknesses and exploiting them at just the right moment. Victory often doesn't require you to overpower your opponent with force. It demands that you use your mind and seize moments of maximum impact, where the effort aligns perfectly with the payoff. Now that you know how to attack indirectly, create distractions, and leverage weaknesses, the question is, what will you do with this power? Will you keep trying to smash through everything head-on? Or will you start using these tactics to finally win smart without wasting energy? The choice is yours. But remember this, true victory doesn't go to the one who fights the hardest, it goes to the one who knows the perfect time to strike.